the White Sox did.
So Floyd turns it loose, a 26-year-old from Baltimore, Maryland. It's ball one to Ben Francisco, and this game is underway. Of course, Grady Sizemore has been locked into that leadoff spot for the last half a dozen years for Cleveland, but he is now on the disabled list. And Francisco leads things off with a pop fly to Ramirez for the game's first out. Our pitcher profile on Gavin Floyd is brought to you by Sprint.
Pitching coaches and guys looking for pitching salivate over the likes of Gavin Floyd. He won 17 last year. A wicked curveball, and as we said, he's been better his last 3 starts, trying to recapture those 17 wins of a year ago.
Jamie Carroll getting a start at third base with all the injuries the Indians have suffered so far this year. It is mind-boggling when you think that 25 players had left Goodyear, Arizona in spring training. On the active roster, 10 of the 25 are no longer here. They've either been let go entirely, on the disabled list, or sent back to the minor leagues.
Tom, every team has problems with their roster as far as injuries are concerned, but it seems like the Indians have had more than their share.
1-1 to Jamie Carroll, and it's in the air to left field. Drifting back is Scott Pasednik, and shy of the track. One step on the track. He'll gather it in for the game's second out. Well, they're hoping that Floyd has turned the corner after a disastrous month of April. The 26-year-old over his last 3 starts has an ERA of under 2. He began the year his first 8 outings with an earned run average of up over 6, and he's better than that. And a big reason why you see the strikeout to walk ratio, 24 strikeouts in his last 23 innings, and he's get ahead of a lot of hitters like he does here on Victor Martinez, strike 1.
First 3 Indian batters, first 3 first strikes. Big difference. It's the same old mantra. Stay ahead. You hear that all the time in baseball. It cannot be accentuated enough. First pitch strike is the biggest of any sequence. Biggest pitch. And Don Cooper, the pitching coach for the White Sox, knows that.
And it gets back to, Timmy, something you know, and in the nearly 4 decades that you were back behind the plate. I mean, when you have a pitcher, the best pitch in baseball still to this day, as their strike 3 on the curveball, is the located fastball.
That's
and
right.
Floyd's starting to locate that. A perfect opening inning. So now Jeremy Sowers tries to answer the perfect first from Gavin Floyd. Ozzie Guillen starting lineup brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Scott Pasednik back leading off in left field. Alexi Ramirez at short. Jim Thome the DH. Paul Konerko down at first, a cleanup hitter. A.J. Pierzynski behind the plate with Josh Fields back in there at third. A ladder third of Jason Nixon right. Chris Getz at second. And Brian Anderson in center field. 25-year-old left-hander Jeremy Sowers turns it loose. And it's strike one to Scott Pasednik. You see the numbers for Sowers, who's been up and down from the minor leagues twice so far this year. Today his fourth start, his fifth game. And that one banged into center field, a base hit for Pasednik. Our pitcher profile on Jeremy Sowers is presented by Sprint.
Well, a first pitch strike and a second pitch strike, and Pasednik, the first base runner of the ball game. We talked about that same old mantra, first pitch strikes. The pitchers have done that today. But the one thing about Sowers, he has to come inside the left-handed batters. The White Sox have 3 of them today in the first, third, and 5 hole, including Jim Thome, who's on deck.
Strike one to the second-year shortstop who played second base a season ago, Alexi Ramirez, and for the first time he's starting to warm up after a very poor month of April. Thome waits. Always have to keep an eye on Pasednik, who has not been a regular player really since the White Sox the year after they won the World Series in 2005. Yet having said that, he still has the 5th most stolen bases among all major league players since the beginning of '03.
Guy who had the biggest home run of his career in Game 2 of the World Series against the Houston Astros.
And you were right here for that World Series, and this city, of course, having gone so many years with teams on both parts of town without winning one, the celebration was staggering here in Chicago.
I don't think the White Sox surprised anybody by getting to the World Series, but they certainly surprised me by sweeping a very good Houston Astros team.
One and two on Alexi Ramirez, and a throw will send Pasednik back to the bag. Sowers, a guy, quite frankly, the Indians continue to wait on. For whatever reason, it seems as though left-handers take a little longer to fully develop at the big league level, and perhaps that's overstating it a bit. It just feels that way in recent years.
And it's surprising because left-handers can do more with a little.
Runner takes off, and an excellent throw by Martinez. But it looked like Valbuena was in front of the bag and therefore could not get back to put down the tag.
Boy, that's an excellent point, Tom, and you're right on the money. Had he been on the bag, I think Pasednik would have been out. But when your middle infielders take the ball up front, they have to reach back, and by reaching back, watch the position of Pasednik right now. He still might have been out. I think he was out before that left foot hit the bag. But that is a key point. Catchers try to preach to their middle infielders to straddle the bag, don't get in front of it.
Pasednik now 6 stolen bases, and a roller to the right side will advance a runner. So an out, but a productive out by Alexi Ramirez. Moves Pasednik down to third with 1 out in the inning, and here is where the White Sox have really struggled. They're leaning hard on Jim Thome, who on Monday night, 19 years in the big leagues, clubbed his 550th career home run. In the 8th inning, a 3-run shot breaking a tie to left center field off Santiago Casilla. It was his 9th home run of the season, but number 550 of what has been a great career. Of course, it all began in Cleveland, and then the unveiling of a plaque yesterday before the game. There's ball 1 to Thome. That was the last hit with a runner in scoring position. That was Monday that this entire White Sox team has had. They are 0 for their last 24 with runners in scoring position. 2-0. Ozzie Guillen, in his 6th season as manager of the White Sox, has done a splendid job here in Chicago. Very controversial figure, an explosive personality and temperament. But make no bones about it, he has turned this into a franchise that certainly is one to be reckoned with since the day he took over the managerial reins.
I think of Jack Nicholson's line in the movie, when he said, "You can't handle the truth." that should be. We talked about mantra. That should be the mantra of Ozzie Guillen to everybody to whom he talks. You can handle the truth, because he's going to give you what he considers the truth all the time.
Well, he was unhappy with his team after last night getting shut out for the second straight time as Thome draws the one-out walk. White Sox have been shut out 3 times in their last 4 games. And he was going to gather the troops, so to speak, before the game today and let them know, I'm expecting a lot better than that.
Ozzie telling us before the game, he said, good teams win. Bad teams hold meetings. And I'm holding a meeting before the game today because we've been a bad team.
He's not lying.
Nope.
On the corners for Konerko, and he hammers one down the line. Foul. Strike 1 to Paul Konerko.
Through this 4-game losing streak, a mini losing streak, but Paul Konerko has been putting the good part of the bat on the ball consistently all week. And a guy, he would never use that as an excuse, but he has been hitting in tough luck all week. There are 2 guys that center the ball, and that's a great expression. Konerko for the White Sox, Victor Martinez for the Cleveland Indians.
0-1 to Konerko with the runners on the corners and 1 out. And it misses down and in to even the count, a ball and a strike. Posednik started the inning with a single, stole second, went to third on a ground out, and after a walk to Thome, it's up to Konerko to get Chicago on the board and end what has been 23 consecutive innings without a run scoring. And this should do it. Fly ball to DeRosa, plenty deep enough to score the speedy Scott Posednik. So the White Sox fans facetiously stand and cheer as their team will not be shut out for a 3rd straight game.
9 shutouts on the season, 6 here at home, as we said in the opening, in only 27 games. But Konerko puts the Sox on the board, and it has been rare for the White Sox to take the lead this week. But I'll tell you, in fairness to the White Sox, they were beaten by 3 very good young pitchers for the Oakland Athletics. Vin Mazzaro on Tuesday night, and then Wednesday and Thursday, Josh Outman and Brett Anderson, 2 young left-handers.
And boy, did Ozzie Guillen have complimentary words for that trio and the entire young Oakland Athletics pitching staff. Billy Beane knows a little bit about pitching. People can get into the whole Moneyball thing in the book and about sabermetrics and so on and so forth. But one thing where he rarely, and his scouts rarely ever miss, is evaluating pitching before they acquire it, either in the draft or in trades coming over from other teams.
Just in the last decade, you have the triumvirate of Barry Zito, Tim Hudson, Mark Mulder, who did so well. Of course, Zito went to the Giants, Hudson to the Braves, and Mulder to the Cardinals. But were those 3 guys ever good for a long time?
There's strike 3 to Pierzynski. 1 run scores for the White Sox. First time they've scored in 3 days, and they lead at the end of 1-0. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. By Sprint, get more done with Nextel Direct Connect, only on the Now Network. And by Craftsman, trust in your hands. A 1-2-3 top of the first for Gavin Floyd. His team gets him a run in the bottom of the inning. Shin-Soo Choo to start things in the Cleveland second, and it's up and away 2-0. Choo having a nice year, a .303 batter, 7 home runs, 32 runs batted in, has 9 doubles, 9 stolen bases. Chases a 2-0 pitch up and away from him and pops it up to Josh Fields, 1 away. Now Johnny Peralta, who had been playing a great deal of third base as Asdrubal Cabrera was getting the regular time at short, and then all of a sudden Cabrera becomes another injured Cleveland Indian. You know, you go back just 1 month ago, May the 1st, the Indians have moved 37 players in adjusting their big league roster. 37.
That's in 5 weeks.
And the migration has 18 moves where one player joined the 25-man roster and another came off of the 25-man roster. Now, there are teams, 2 of them, that have used the DL more frequently this year, but I'm not sure anybody has had to maneuver a 25-man roster more frequently, especially in the last month, than the Cleveland Indians. Slow roller, a charging Ramirez. Gloves, can't find the handle, and his throw is late. Tampa Bay, the only team with more players currently on the disabled list than Cleveland. The Rays with 9, the Indians with 8, but look at some of the names. Grady Sizemore, they're wondering, will he need elbow surgery? We talked about Cabrera, injured his shoulder this week. Betancourt in their bullpen. Aaron Laffey, they hope to have back by the end of the month, along with Jake Westbrook, who will start his rehab from Tommy John surgery today.
Consider this, Tom. I played on a St. Louis Cardinal team in 1967. Ended up winning the World Championship, but during the regular season, we had 1 roster move.
Wow.
In 6 months. 1. And that was when Bob Gibson broke his leg and a trade was made for Jack LeMahieu, a right-handed pitcher.
I don't know if I've ever heard that story. That's
1.
Amazing.
1.
That is unbelievable.
It is, isn't it? Gibson came back, pitched the clincher in Philadelphia, and of course beat the Red Sox 3 out of in a 7-game series in the World Series. But I mean,
I am stunned just to hear that.
It gives you an idea of how stark the Cleveland Indians, their roster moves have been over the last 6 weeks.
I've forgotten all about Cleveland. I'm still trying to figure out how you go through 6 months in a grueling baseball season and make 1 roster move. 24-man roster then, right?
25.
Oh, 25, okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's a guy the Indians are happy to have back, and that's Travis Hafner. His first game back last night, hit a home run. His 5th of the year. Still trying to recover from that bad right shoulder, which required surgery during the offseason. Breaking ball down and in that he misses by a foot. Eric Wedge told us before the game, I told Travis Hafner, you're not going to be the player you were in 06 tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. And he's going to need some rest. He's going to need some off days. Normally, if you hear from a catcher standpoint, if you hear that a hitter had shoulder surgery, you try to keep the ball away from him. The easier pitch to handle in rehab is going to be a ball that's down, but a pitch like that gives him more problems than any of the other pitchers. That pitch away, because the reason for that is they have to reach with the shoulder. Of course, the bat's just an extension of the hands, and the farther away you can keep it in the strike zone, generally speaking, the better off you are.
1 on, 1 out. It was scored an infield hit, by the way, for Peralta, despite the fact that Ramirez bobbled the ball. Shade Hafner, a left-handed batter a bit towards left field.
Good power the other way. In the air.
And now the 2-2. Barely got a piece of it. We'll do it again.
I guess that was redundant. Good power the other way in the air, because in the air is the only time that you can exhibit your power. A little tough to exhibit power on ground balls, even though there's some ground balls that are hit harder than others.
A lot harder than others. 2-2 pitch, and it's dribbled foul. Try to come back with that breaking ball down and in, and stayed out over the plate. Hafner, as an Indian, I mean, when he had things rolling, was a 100-plus RBI guy, hit you 25, 35 home runs. Then all of a sudden the injury started, and he has just not been the same player for 2.5 years now.
Now, Travis, when he was going well, a power hitter with a short stroke. Normally power.
That ball blasted into right field and will sail over the head of Jason Nix. On his way to third is Peralta. They'll hold him there on a double by Travis Hafner.
I'm going to say normally you see a power hitter like Hafner, when he's going well, his swing is longer. But with Travis, when he's going well, he's got that short, quick stroke to the ball in a hurry. Ball hammered over the head of Jason Nix, the right fielder.
Now Mark DeRosa making his first trip back to Chicago since he was traded from the Chicago Cubs on the north side of town the last day of the calendar year for 3 minor league pitchers. There's a check swing on a fastball up, and it's strike one. DeRosa had such an outstanding season for the Cubs last year when he knocked in nearly 90 runs. You know all about his versatility. Can play in the infield, play in the outfield. That one is looped into short right, and it will fall, a base hit. Scoring is Peralta. They'll hold Hafner. And the game is tied 1-1 on a bloop single to right by Mark DeRosa.
A guy, Lou Piniella, the manager of the Cubs, has told us that he was the most valuable player with the Cubs last year. Drives in the first Indian run.
And most people that watch the Cubs regularly for the last 2 years after DeRosa signed initially that 3-year deal leaving Texas to come to Chicago are just stunned the Cubs made the decision to trade DeRosa, and then of course went out and signed the highly controversial right fielder Milton Bradley, who is off to a terrible start so far this season, hitting under 200 and has been hurt a lot.
Cubs winners last night in Cincinnati. Carlos Zambrano back after a 6-game suspension. The winner, not only a winner, but a big home run for the Cubs last night.
Those are the numbers DeRosa put up for the Cubs last year. The 87 runs batted in. 1-0 on Ryan Garco, and it swung on and missed. And by the way, in that win for Carlos Zambrano last night, he becomes the 4th Cub pitcher to win 100 or more games in a Cubs uniform in the last 50 years, joining Rick Russell, Ferguson Jenkins, and Greg Maddux. Broken bat roller. Good base running there, it looked like by Hafner, and then he's cut down on a marvelous play made by Ramirez. What a play. It looked like Hafner read it beautifully at third, waiting till the ball skipped past the pitcher. But what a play by Alexi Ramirez.
To barehand the ball and then throw home to get Hafner. Now, if you're the runner at third base, you're going in on a ground ball. The difference is if the ground ball is not hit sharply, because if it's not hit sharply, they have no chance for the middle of the infield double play. So Hafner, you're exactly right. Hafner read the play properly. But when a guy makes a play like that against you, you just tip your hat. I mean, for Ramirez to think I'm going to first. No, I see the runner out of the corner of my eye peripherally and go home is just a brilliant play. Well done. You can see right there Hafner stopping and then the ball getting past Floyd, and now Ramirez comes in. He has to barehand the ball throwing home. How many times do you see a shortstop barehand the ball and get a tag play at home plate? Not often.
No. There's a slow bouncer to the right side by Valbuena, and the feed to Floyd will end the inning, but the Indians tie the game on 3 base hits, 1-1 after an inning and a half in rainy Chicago. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Sears is sponsored by Budweiser American Ale. Discover the robust flavor of Budweiser American Ale. 1-1 game as the White Sox come to bat against Jeremy Sowers in the bottom half of the second inning. And it's ball 1 low and in to Josh Fields. Fields had the big season 2 years ago. Was injured a lot, spent most of last season in the minor leagues. A .239 batter, 2 home runs and 20 batted in. But of course, many wonder how much playing time Josh Fields will see with any regularity. As that one is blooped to the shallow center, it'll fall in a base hit. Fox Sports is proud to support the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's research. The Michael J. Fox Foundation's goal is to drive the development of better treatments and find a cure for Parkinson's. To learn more, please visit michaeljfox.org. Well, we're talking about Fields, of course. The White Sox made the decision to bring up their #1 pick from 1 year ago out of the University of Georgia, Gordon Beckham, who has been a shortstop throughout his collegiate career and the early part of his minor league career. But then a week and a half ago, they got him some time at third. They just brought him up a couple of days ago, and many believe he's going to play regularly.
Started on Thursdays 0 for 6 since coming up, but he is going to be a terrific player. And Ozzie Guillen telling us today that he, as one would suspect, big market, huge market.
Off the end of the bat. Although that ball continues to carry to center field, and what a play made by Ben Francisco. Throws all the way back into first base. It'll pull the first baseman Garco off the bag. Well, that ball seemed to have a tremendous amount of carry off the bat of Jason Nix.
On a day like today where it's raining, the air is heavier. This is a ballpark normally where the ball carries very well, but then Francisco, normally a left fielder, and if you're the runner right there, you can actually make the turn at second base, but you got to remember to touch the bag when you come back. Josh Fields does, but a fine play by Francisco.
Now Chris Getz, but you were starting to talk about, the big city and the big market and all the big buildup that comes along with a kid like Beckham.
All the great expectations and everything, and Ozzie Guillen trying to play that down as much as he can. Now, of course, you can't do that. I mean, you're tickled for a young man who's got a lot of confidence. Ozzie calls him cocky, but not a hot dog cocky, as only Ozzie can say it.
Beckham, the 8th pick overall last year, hit over 400 with 28 home runs and nearly 80 runs batted in as a Georgia Bulldog after his junior year last year. Fouled back out of play by Getz. It's 0-2.
Georgia finishing second to Fresno State last year. Fresno State, the national champions, and the College World Series finals will be played in a couple of weeks in Omaha.
And of course, the amateur draft is coming up as well, and already so much talk about what your local team might be thinking about. There's a fastball away, and one thing that cannot be denied, I guess it's pretty much a foregone conclusion, who will be the #1 pick in this year's upcoming draft. Of course, his head coach is a guy in the Hall of Fame named Tony Gwynn. 1-2 on Getz. And there's strike 3 called on the inside corner. Steven Strasburg, check out these numbers. 1.32 ERA, the National Player of the Year, and throws upwards of 100 miles an hour.
And a guy who can hit balls upwards of 100 miles an hour. A young man, a 16-year-old who was recently on the cover of Sports Illustrated, Bryce Harper from Las Vegas. And Sports Illustrated and Tom Verducci saying that Bryce Harper is as a natural as LeBron James was in basketball. So we'll see. It's high praise.
That's very high praise. Ball 1 on Brian Anderson with 2 outs after a leadoff single by Fields. Anderson, the number 9 batter in the White Sox lineup. 2-0. In the air, left field, and playable for Chu. And that is that after a leadoff single by Fields. A 1-1 game at the end of 2, and we're back to Chicago right after these messages from your local Fox station. 1-1 game as the Indians come to bat against Gavin Floyd with the top of the order here in the top of the third inning. Ben Francisco popped up to the shortstop. Ramirez leading off the game, and that's on the outside corner, a strike. Well, we understand a scoring decision that was initially ruled an infield hit by Johnny Peralta with 1 out in the second inning, which ultimately led to Cleveland's only run, has been changed to an error by Alexi Ramirez. So the run is an unearned run. Against Gavin Floyd, and gone swinging is Francisco, the second strikeout today for Gavin.
That's a good breaking ball from Gavin Floyd. Don Cooper, the pitching coach, saying that, you know, when Gavin Floyd throws his breaking ball early in the count, they've tried to convince him to throw that just get me over curveball instead of trying to be too fine early in the count. And that is something to really put across to a young pitcher, because they try to throw that 0-2 curveball on the first pitch. They miss with it, now have to come in there in the fat part of the plate. Big league hitters hammer that 1-0, 2-0 pitch.
Fastball in the inside corner, 1-1 to Jamie Carroll, who flied out to Pasednik his first time up. Floyd last year led the White Sox with 17 wins, was the youngest pitcher to lead the team in wins since Mark Burley back in 2002 when he was 23 years young. Fastball is high. He ranked among the American League leaders in a number of categories. Wins, opponent's batting average, innings pitched, threw over 200 last year and made 19 quality starts. And they're banking on that for the final 4 months of this season from Gavin Floyd if they're able to repeat as champions of the American League Central Division. They need him.
I think, Tom, a lot of White Sox starters have learned a lot from Mark Burley, and the one thing you learn watching Mark Burley pitch is to work fast. Show me a guy who works slow, and I'll show you a guy who's not a winning pitcher in the major leagues.
On the ground to the glove side of Fields, and there are 2 gone in the Cleveland third. Fox Saturday Baseball is presented by Sears. Let the Sears Blue Crew help find the top appliance brand most perfect for you. They understand our distinguished producer Pete Macheska recently bought a dishwasher, we're told, from Sears, and he has been thrilled about it. That's good news.
It's news to me.
It was news to all of us, but he made sure to point that out before the game today. That's good stuff. Here's Victor Martinez. Foul tipped into the mid of A.J. Pierzynski for strike 1.
Well, the White Sox trying to work themselves out of that spin cycle that they have been in a spin cycle for the last 4 days.
How about that? Well, that's a veteran move right there. Wow.
Good curveball from Gavin Floyd. And he got the call.
And got him to chase up when he came back with a 92-mile-per-hour fastball and a 1-2-3 third for Gavin Floyd.
Again, the advantage of staying ahead.
Bottom half of the third inning at U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago. Scott Posednik led off the game with a base hit, stole second, a ground ball got him to third, a fly ball scored him, ending a string of 23 straight scoreless innings for the White Sox in the first. Jeremy Sowers ahead 0-1 and now 0-2.
How about that first pitch Posednik took? He was actually moving toward the pitcher. Normally, if a guy does that, it looked like a bunt attempt, but no noticeable attempt to bunt by Scott.
Nice play by Sowers. That was a sharply hit ball by Posednik, and that's the inning's first out. Wants to show the world it's not like it's love. Get MLB banking only from Bank of America. Our Bank of America fan cam today. For those that perhaps were worried about rain in Chicago, we had a little bit a short while ago. And for the time being, Mother Nature has been quite kind. Let's hope she's in a good mood today. Temperatures are still under 50 degrees here in Chicago. I know every place likes to say they have the strangest weather patterns in the country. No matter where you go, you hear it. Maybe outside of Arizona and San Diego. But, boy, this city, you just never know. Having lived here for 6 years, year-round, there were summers, over on the north side anyway, where it didn't break 70 degrees until July. And there were other summers it was so hot and humid, you didn't know if you were coming or going. And it has been the former rather than the latter so far this spring and early summer in Chicago.
Toddling town in many ways.
Jam shot fly ball by Ramirez into left field, and that's out number 2. Now, Timmy, you've been here for an entire week. What's it been like? I mean, you had the Cubbies last week.
Yeah.
10 days. Boy, now that's living right. Hanging here for 10 days.
Let me tell you something. I look for ways to extend my stays in this town. I love this city.
You know, Tim, the first thing our crew thought of, and I thought it was appropriately described at the beginning of the week, you know, what is it like? Much like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the great movie, Matthew Broderick, of course, from a number of years ago, about a day off of high school in the suburbs of Chicago, and, you know, going through an entire day and what that day was like. And with 2 outs in the inning, perhaps now not the time unless it were to continue. But we did, if you will, follow Tim McCarver's week off in between telecasts last Saturday at Wrigley Field and then this week over on the south side, and we will talk about that in some detail when we come back. So you want to know what Tim McCarver's up to in Chi-Town? Stick around. days off in Chicago. Activities, you know, the Hancock Observatory up at the top overlooking the city and the lake.
Signature Lounge.
You have the River Architecture Tour, the Cloud Gate at Millennium Park, and then the Kuma Burger over at the Kuma Corner. Now, Timmy, you are a lean man. You take good care of yourself.
Try to.
You take a look at that thing, and I mean, you've got the bacon, you've got the burger, you've got the fried egg on the top. And they were calling McCarver, anyone? How was that thing? Take a look at that, baby.
You know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to pay this town back for making me play all those day games for 20 years at Wrigley Field.
At Kuma's Corner.
Kuma's Corner.
I mean, you came in here today telling us about the great Chicago fire.
Yeah, 1871.
Yep.
Right.
Went from Sunday, October the 8th, all the way until early Tuesday, October the 10th of that year. And then they brought in all the great architects from all over the world and rebuilt this great city. And the downtown has gone swinging. To begin the top of the fourth inning is Shin Soo Choo.
Actually, that fire hopped across the Chicago River. Crawled across the river as Choo goes down on strike. Strikeout number 4 for Gavin Floyd.
Not a walk yet issued by Floyd to go along with those 4 strikeouts. First pitch swinging on a breaking ball by Johnny Peralta, fouled off out of play. He reached on the error by Ramirez and scored the lone Cleveland run in the second inning. Peralta, another guy, much like the Indians team, that performed so poorly in the month of April, but then has started to turn around in May. I mean, with all the injuries that we talked about earlier, really starting on May the 1st for this Cleveland team, they were only 2 games under 500 in the entire month of May. That's not a bad month, all things considered. Good breaking ball by Floyd, 2-2.
Here's a team, the Cleveland Indians. They were 1 game away from going to the World Series just 2 years ago. Good slider or cut fastball from Gavin Floyd. Eric Wedge in his 7th year with Cleveland. And a good man.
Oh, yeah. Not going to let his team get down. You know, we talked about their hope is to have 3/5 of their starting rotation come back by the end of June. There's a swing and a miss. Another wicked breaking ball by Gavin Floyd, and that's 3 straight strikeouts for the Chicago right-hander. Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Sears, is sponsored by the new Kentucky Grilled Chicken. Taste the unfried side of KFC. By Cadillac. And by Bank of America. Show the world it's not like, it's love. Get MLB banking only from Bank of America. Talked about Jake Westbrook coming all the way back from Tommy John surgery. He will start his first start back after the surgery tonight in a minor league appearance. Aaron Laffey they hope to have back by the end of June. And then Fausto Carmona, who has struggled so mightily this year, as it's 1-1 at Travis Hafner. They didn't send him to AAA. They didn't send him to AA. They sent him all the way back to Goodyear, Arizona, to just collect himself and try to get it all back together.
Eric Wedge having a terrific comment to us before the game time. He said, in Arizona, we're trying to convince him to throw the ball to the catcher. And for those who may not understand that, you might think all major league pitchers do that, but some young pitchers are so intimidated by major league hitters, they throw it to the hitter and not to the catcher. There's a big difference in that last yard.
Floyd's throwing it to the catcher here today.
Right.
Jeremy Sowers toes the rubber, bottom half of the fourth inning in a 1-1 game. Heart of the order for the White Sox. It'll start with Paul Konerko. First pitch swinging, a ground ball to Jamie Carroll. 1 pitch and 1 out for Sowers.
You may have seen that graphic earlier where Jeremy Sowers has won only 1 game for the Indians this year. That 1 game was a game where the Indians trailed 10-0 to the Tampa Bay Rays. And Sowers came in and pitched 5 innings of scoreless ball in relief and ended up winning that game when the Indians came back and won that game 11-10 with 7 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning.
Sowers, coming out of high school, was the #1 draft pick by the Cincinnati Reds. He did not sign, went to Vanderbilt University, and then was a #1 pick by the Cleveland Indians and did sign, leaving Vanderbilt. He has had some outstanding numbers in the minor leagues, but they're waiting for him to start to put those together at the big league level. Just 25 years old. 1-2 on A.J. Pierzynski. He keeps making pitches like that last one to A.J. Pierzynski. He'll start putting up big-time numbers at the major league level.
That, to me, is the most important pitch for a young pitcher to think about mastering for a left-handed hitter is the pitch on the inside part of the plate, the riding fastball.
Came back with a breaking ball that's lifted into right, playable for DeRosa. And they're 2 away. That's 8 in a row retired by Sowers. Of course, the All-Star game coming up in July right here on Fox from Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Missouri. And the early balloting over in the American League. Jason Bay, Josh Hamilton, despite being hurt, still the leading vote getter among all outfielders. Ichiro in right. Longoria, Jeter, Kinsler, Youkilis. And I tell you, that's a well-deserved infield.
Absolutely.
Those 4 guys right there.
Evan Longoria with the hamstring problem now. He's had it for about a week. And Ichiro in right field. I mean, what a player. What a player he has been since coming over from Japan in '99. I could be wrong about that. I think it was '99.
This ball blasted by Fields into left center field, and he's broken the 1-1 tie. 2-1 Chicago. Talked about Fields, clubbed over 20 home runs 2 years ago. Then last year spent most of the season in the minor leagues. That is just his 3rd this season.
Talk about a guy who centers the ball. That's a contemporary word in baseball, and it means a guy who hits the ball on the sweet part of the bat. And did Fields ever hit it on the fat part of the bat? That last time you could see the eyes just zeroed in on that pitch, and that's after hitting a clunker into center field in the 2nd inning. Same guy hit them both, as his teammates would say.
Up and away to Jason Nix. So a 2-1 game. White Sox have their 2nd lead of the afternoon. They jumped in front 1-0 in the 1st inning before the Indians tied it on a bloop single by DeRosa in the 2nd. That's got to be a mighty tough spot for Josh Fields. Talked about Gordon Beckham earlier, and most believe he is going to play regularly. In fact, Kenny Williams, the general manager, said we didn't bring him up here to sit around.
No. But
now you have a young player who had one very good year, then a very disappointing year in Fields. And what is to become of him now?
Well, they do have some options.
That one popped up behind the bag, and we'll get into those options when we come back. Fields a solo home run, just the 2nd long one in the last 5 games for the White Sox. It's 2-1 as we go to the 5th. 5th, 5th in Chicago. 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 5 Mark DeRosa leads off the Cleveland fifth inning with the Indians trailing Gavin Floyd and the White Sox 2-1. Floyd's retired the last 8 batters he's faced since a run-scoring single by DeRosa back in the second inning.
Gavin Floyd appears to be dealing now, working very confidently and very quickly.
1-2 on DeRosa, and there's the more traditional breaking ball that just stayed up and in. That slider's been an effective pitch here on the last 4 or 5 batters. There are many guys that throw both of those pitches.
That's right.
Soft liner caught by Getz for the first out in the inning. Time now for a direct TV game break. Let's go to the Bronx. Tied at 5. Mariano Rivera on the mound. Joe Dillon's base hit breaks the 5-5 tie. And then in the bottom of the ninth, 1 on, 2 out, tying one at the plate. Robinson Cano, a line drive and the catch made by B.J. Upton. The Rays win it by a final count of 9-7. A 4-run ninth inning against the losing pitcher Mariano Rivera.
Wow.
And they brought him into a 5-5 game, a tie game there in the Bronx in the ninth. So after the Yankee loss, there's a tie atop the American League's Eastern Division with the 2 traditional powers, New York and Boston. But don't look now, the Rays are starting to put it together. That's 4 straight wins for that team.
Middle relief a real problem for Tampa Bay.
1-2 on Garco, and a breaking ball is outside.
Of course, middle relief a real problem for a lot of teams. It seems that the more middle relief is called upon, the worse it gets, and the worse it gets, the more it's called upon. That's the dilemma that a lot of organizations have with the middle relief today. The best way to solve that problem is to have the starters go deeper into the game. And I'll guarantee you it'll be more than coincidental to see your middle relief move back a little bit in a ball game, an inning even, and to see it improve. One follows the other.
It doesn't get overexposed.
No, that's right.
Valbuena with 2 down tries to bunt his way on, and that's a foul ball. After going through the batting order, the first 9 hitters with only 1 strikeout, Floyd, going through the batting order for a second time, has struck out 5 of those 8 batters. 10 straight overall set down by Gavin, and he'll try and make it 3 straight perfect innings if he can retire Valbuena. Floyd, a former #1 pick by the Philadelphia Phillies out of Baltimore, Maryland, and then came over in the Freddie Garcia deal. Well, it's interesting sometimes how those trades, they are bashed by fans locally, and not just here in Chicago, but any organization. And they made the trade, of course, to get some of the youngsters from the Rangers a couple of years ago, and that trade has turned out quite well as well. So it is indeed now 10-11 in a row retired by Gavin Floyd. White Sox lead 2-1. Fox Saturday Baseball is presented by Sears Craftsman. Trust in your hands. Mostly cloudy, chilly Saturday on the south side of Chicago. Very good pitching by each team thus far. Gavin Floyd has allowed 1 run on just 2 base hits. Jeremy Sowers through 4 innings has allowed 2 runs on 3 hits. Getz, Anderson, and Pasednik coming up. And pulled into right field, a base hit by Getz.
Talked about how a left-handed pitcher should establish the fastball inside against left-handed hitters. That breaking ball from a lefty to a lefty gives that left-handed hitter just a wee bit more time to get the bat head out. And Chris Getz does that. Drills one in the hole on the right side. I think all things considered equal. All things considered equal. Lefty-righty hitter, lefty-righty pitcher. The breaking ball from a left-handed pitcher to a left-handed hitter is the most dangerous pitch. All things considered equal.
Why is that?
I think because of that, it gives a left-handed hitter a little bit more time to get the bat head out. When you throw the tailing fastball inside, now if you establish the tailing fastball inside and then go away, it's a different story.
Right. I was getting ready to ask you because so many times, especially with young left-handed hitters, but even guys that have been around for a while, I mean, it seems like they are flailing after that breaking ball from left-handers down and away.
But if you're a left-handed hitter and you can play every day against a left-handed pitcher, the one thing you have to do and have to master is keeping the front shoulder in. And when you keep the front shoulder in, you can't handle the tailing fastball inside, but you can handle the breaking ball away.
Down to third. This could be 2. The feed to second. Turned by Valbuena. And that's a double play. 2 gone. The bases empty here in the Chicago 5th.
Well done by the Indians around the horn. I don't think also, Tom, I don't think a lot of right-handed hitting catchers understand the relationship of a left-handed hitter to a left-handed pitcher because they weren't left-handed pitchers. Or left-handed hitters. A guy like Przinsky does understand that. I used to have arguments with Gene Mach, a man that I respected so much. Gene never made it to the postseason, died a couple of years ago. One of the most brilliant baseball minds that I've ever been around. But he used to say the best pitch from a left-handed pitcher to a left-handed hitter is a fastball away. And I said, no, it's not. And we argued and argued, and I was playing for him then, so you know who won the argument. You had to eventually say, you're right, G, when you still didn't agree with him.
2-1 on Pasednik.
To put a pitch like that, for instance, that's that fastball inside. Rusty Staub was a great left-handed hitter. You could throw him a fastball up and in, and he would turn on it. I mean, and that very powerful hitter on a ball up and in. Throw that same pitch from a left-handed pitcher, and he'd foul it off, or he'd pop it up. And a lot of left-handers are like that, and that's the type pitch that Sowers just got Pasednik out on.
So Gene Mach, God rest his soul.
He won the argument eventually because he was the manager.
But you were right on the last of that.
Yes, right.
Baseball, presented by Sears, is sponsored by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. By Gillette Fusion, Gillette's closest, most comfortable shave. And by Smirnoff Ice. Please drink responsibly. Cleveland comes to bat, top of the order against Gavin Floyd. Floyd has retired 11 straight hitters since the run-scoring single by Mark DeRosa back in the second inning. Floyd has struck out 7. He's not walked a batter, and 6 of his strikeouts have come against the last 9 batters. In the air, right center field, driven pretty well, but out there to get it is Nix, one away. We caught up with Ozzie Guillen a moment ago, and Ozzie, surprise, surprise, you finally scored a run. How about it in that first inning?
Well, we do the thing we've not been doing lately. I think, we got men at third base a few times early in the game. We didn't bring it in, and we do today. I think Gavin thrown pretty good. Hopefully, he can continue to do it.
What did you say to your team before the game today?
Well, just have fun. I think we really have to put head down. I think it's not any energy in the clubhouse and any energy in the dugout. We know we struggle in the past. We overcome, and I just want those guys to have fun, and because the ability is there, they will take off.
Ozzie, thanks for the time. Stay warm down there.
All right, buddy.
It's so interesting to talk to people in Chicago, outside Chicago, who follow baseball, and just ask them a simple question. What do you think, Ozzie Guillen? And the different reactions you get from people that are White Sox fans, that are Cub fans, that can't stand the White Sox. I mean, across the entire, opinion poll, and you'll get everything from one end to the other. But one thing that cannot be denied is he is a baseball guy, if you will, through and through. He's dedicated his entire life to this great game. He knew how to play the game and play it well. There's a base hit in the center field by Carroll. And it's my opinion, Tim, and I think you agree, we were talking about it before the game. I think he knows how to manage the game of baseball very, very well. And even though his style may be different than the overwhelming majority of managers, of head coaches in other sports out there, he gets the most out of his players.
I think Chicago is gifted in that on the north side and the south side, they're gifted with two managers who manage the same way they played. Lou Piniella with the Cubs, Ozzie Guillen on the south side. They haven't changed. And often managers who are good players will change as a manager. They'll change their style. They'll become less animated. Ozzie's the same way as when he played. Lou Piniella's the same way as when he played. And that's to their credit.
Victor Martinez with a 1-0 count. And a breaking ball from Floyd in there, strike 1-1.
They're both very close friends, by the way. And Lou will say, Ozzie wears his opinions on his sleeve. And Ozzie will say the same thing about Lou.
Yep. Of course, both at one time when they broke into the big league, started with a bang. Piniella won the Rookie of the Year.
1969 with Kansas City, all teams.
Yep. And Ozzie, I believe it was 1985, right here with the White Sox.
In fact, these two north side meets the south side in a couple of weeks.
That is always fun.
26th, 7th, and 8th of June.
There's a base hit into center field and making a hard turn and slamming on the brakes. Quick throw back into second. And Carroll able to get back in there. So now the Indians, after having 12 in a row retired by Floyd, have put together back-to-back hits from Carroll and Martinez. And that leads us to our trivia power question today, brought to you by Gillette. Name the racehorse and the major league player to win a Triple Crown in the same year. Of course, later today, the running of the Belmont Stakes, capping off the Triple Crown of racing.
And speaking of racing, I think Jamie Carroll should have raced to third on that ball. base runners have to follow their first instincts. Now, I guess that's true in a lot of businesses. And Jamie, a very good base runner, thought about going to third base, and I think should have continued. If he's thrown out, then you're thrown out. But more times than not, when you're running the bases, the number of outs dictates whether you should go to third or not. First and third, the most important base running situation, in my opinion. And with one out, you make the outfielder throw you out. With nobody out or 2 outs, I can understand him staying, but not with 1.
Potential double play here, and Chu just able to beat the throw from Ramirez to keep the inning alive. Talked about how well Chu runs, and he needed every bit of that speed to keep this inning going.
Yeah, when a guy beats out an infield hit, it's not that virtuous, but when a guy changes what could be a double play and get a team out of the inning, he beats that out. That's heads up baseball. Hear about a guy hustling to first base. If he's trying to beat out an infield hit, that hustling is self-serving. If it's a fielder's choice, it's not self-serving. It's team serving.
And now a chance for Johnny Peralta with his team trailing 2-1, 2 on, 2 out here in the top of the 6th inning. He looks at ball 1. Peralta reached on an error by Alexi Ramirez, scored the only Cleveland run off Floyd back in the 2nd inning. And then Gavin struck him out swinging in the 4th. Boy, this guy's got good stuff today.
He sure does. I was thinking the same thing. Hear that modern term about electric stuff. Gavin Floyd certainly has that. It's that action at the end that determines whether a pitcher's stuff is electric or not.
Missed his spot there with a fastball, and really that's been the one pitch today that you'd have to say he might have the least command of.
Probably.
He's had very good command of the breaking ball, both the curveball and sliders.
Excellent slider. Fastball inside.
And again misses up.
A lot of times when you see a hitter with a curl in his bat, in fact, Gordon Beckham has that curl in his bat. Darryl Strawberry had that curl in his bat when he was a young player. That's an indication that you can come inside on them. And Johnny Peralta, when that bat's pointed a little toward the pitcher, they're vulnerable inside.
Well, he got a pitch to hit right there and puts it in the air down the right field line, and it bends out of play. Peralta would like to have that one back. Let's take a look at the in-game box score for the Cleveland Indians, brought to you by Hyundai, introducing the all-new 306 horsepower real-wheel drive Hyundai Genesis Coupe. Very quiet up until this 6th inning. They scored a run thanks to an error off Floyd back in the 2nd, put together consecutive hits with 1 out here in the 6th. And now they have 2 on with 2 out and a full count coming up to Johnny Peralta. Down by a run. We'll do it again. This will be the 7th pitch in this at bat. Floyd to Peralta.
Now the slider.
He walked him through back-to-back 3-2 sliders. One was fouled away and the other just missed. No activity in the White Sox bullpen, and here comes Travis Hafner with the bases loaded. Of course, in that monster 2006 season that Hafner put together, what do you have, 6 grand slams that year?
Yes, tie a major league record. That's 24 RBIs with 6 swings of the bat.
Unbelievable. That tied the record held by Don Mattingly back in '87. Of course, last night his first game back off the disabled list in the 6th inning. A hanging breaking ball that he lined to the seats in right off John Danks. Floyd will work out of the regular windup. White Sox in front 2-1. Bases loaded, 2 outs in the 6th. Nice play by Przinsky.
That's a good play because you have the hitter's legs involved. Whenever the hitter's legs involved, the short hop is a lot tougher.
Jamie Carroll, the runner at third base. Shin-Soo Choo is at second. Peralta is at first. In the air off the end of the bat. And this should end the inning. It will. Just missed it. And I mean just missed it. The Indians leave them loaded. Floyd can exhale with a 1-run lead back after a word from your local Fox station. And this was Choo keeping the inning alive, legging out a potential inning-ending double play, eventually giving Travis Hafner a chance with the bases loaded. And he just missed, clubbing one over the right field wall, but it is 2-1. White Sox in front as they bat against Jeremy Sowers. Alexi Ramirez, Jim Thome, and Paul Konerko coming up. Well, meanwhile, we talked so much about Floyd today. Sowers is putting together a rock-solid game. He's only allowed 4 hits. A run in the first inning after a leadoff single, a stolen base, a ground out, and a fly ball made it 1-0. And then gave up the tie-breaking home run, a solo blast in the 4th by Josh Fields.
Yeah, keep in mind that Jeremy's last game was a rock-solid game for 5 innings against the Yankees last Sunday. Gave up 1 run and 3 hits, and then he came out in the 6th inning and walked the bases loaded, and Eric Wedge took him out of the ball game. He was just helped out by home plate umpire Doug Eddings. Pitch Ramirez thought was low.
Breaking ball in the air down the right field line, a long run for DeRosa, and that is a foul ball, not by much.
Good try by DeRosa. That ball tailing away from him. Ooh. About 9 inches.
And it's funny the difference a year makes as a visiting player. If that were DeRosa going into the stands and running into a White Sox fan wearing a Cub uniform, it might not have been pretty. But right there, he gets a big hug and a pat in the back, even as a visitor. On swinging Ramirez. I mean, look how sweet this guy is, this fan. Gives him a pat on the back, a big hug, making sure he doesn't fall on the seats. Yep, there's a pat. That's the White Sox. It's a little stab in the back.
Yeah.
Ball 1 to Jim Thome. Thome has walked and struck out. They put the big shift on defensively. And a breaking ball is on the outside corner. Thome did not like the call. It's a lot like the debt. There's a swing and a miss. And it's 1-2 on Jim Thome. Breaking ball swung on and missed. Back-to-back strikeouts in the 6th inning for Sowers, 5 in the game.
Well, speaking of the debt, the one thing you can't use anymore with the economic downturn is bailout. And that's what Thome just did, bailed out on the breaking ball.
In-game box score brought to you by Hyundai. Introducing the all-new 306 horsepower rear-wheel drive Hyundai Genesis Coupe. Josh Fields. A bloop single and then a home run to break a 1-1 tie. He has 2 hits today for Chicago, leading 2-1 with 2 down and nobody on, and Paul Konerko the batter. He knocked in the game's first run with a sacrifice fly to right. 2-0. What an outstanding career this Scottsdale, Arizona native has had with Chicago. Of course, initially came up with the Dodgers. Traded briefly. That's right.
Yeah.
Traded briefly to the Reds. And then they sent him to Chicago, where he has become the franchise. Well, when all's said and done, he's going to be right there in just about every category in the top 2 or 3, if not first.
298 home runs right now, second to Frank Thomas. And Paul came up in that Dodger organization at a time where you had to be careful when you dealt with the Dodgers, because they would overrate their prospects, guys coming up in the minor leagues. Well, there's one guy who was not overrated, and there's another one, Frank Thomas.
With ball 4 to Konerko, it is so hard to believe that Frank Thomas is not playing somewhere. Now, we have heard, stories have been written, and he's been quoted, as you see where he ranks all time in White Sox franchise history in so many key statistical categories, that he's going to give it basically till about the All-Star break and then is contemplating retirement. But, I mean, here's a guy that recently has done some pretty good things, and there are a lot of teams in both leagues that have had a hard time scoring runs this year. It's hard to imagine that Thomas is not getting a chance, at least so far, somewhere.
Frank, certainly the most dominant offensive player this franchise has ever had. Kenny Williams, the general manager, talking about reaching out and asking Frank if he would like to be honored here. And Frank says he may not be through. Good try by Jamie Carroll.
Of course, Kenny Williams and Frank Thomas have had their verbal spats through the years. There you get a look at Kenny on the left and the owner of the White Sox, Jerry Reinsdorf, on the right. The big hurt. Boy, he put a big hurt on American League pitching for a long time. Fouled away by Pierzynski. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And a guy, if he were a position player, would have the Hall of Fame doors open to him. But it's doubtful that because he's a designated hitter, much like Edgar Martinez, the great designated hitter of the Seattle Mariners, we will probably have those doors shut because of the fact that they didn't play a position.
What's your opinion on that, Timmy?
I think they ought to have I really don't know what my opinion is, but I'm kind of creating one right now because you asked me. But I think the Hall of Fame should have a separate area, since designated hitters have been such a vital part of baseball since 1973. Certainly only in one league, but that league nonetheless.
Base hit in the right field by Pierzynski, and Konerko will advance on to second base.
So that's necessitated the fact that some guys are DHs. So in my mind, if that's the only opportunity that they've been given in baseball, there should be recognition in the Hall of Fame. I don't know in what way, but some area, to me, maybe not the Grand Hall, but another hall.
Josh Fields, a bloop single in the center field that barely cleared the infield back in the second inning, and then that home run to break the 1-1 tie in the fourth. And right now, that's still the difference in the game.
And if there's a team in baseball that is recognized by the solo home run, it's the Chicago White Sox, more than any other team for the last 5 years. And here it is, the solo home run is the reason they're ahead.
Threw a fastball right by him there, up in the strike zone, 0-2.
Good fastball from Sowers.
Two on, two out. The White Sox leading 2-1. And Sowers trying to put this sixth inning on ice. The 0-2 pitch. And he thought that was strike three. That looked like a pretty good pitch from up here, perhaps a bit high.
He and about all the infielders of the Indians taking that one step toward the dugout, but it did appear to be just a tad high.
Here you see when the White Sox hit a home run, one or more. 12 games over 500. When they don't hit a home run, the worst record in Major League Baseball, 5 wins against 21 losses. You're talking about a team that over the last 4 years, including this year, have been so reliant upon that home run ball, as you mentioned, Timmy. I mean, they generate anywhere, depending on the year, but in every year, well over 41% of their total runs scored come via the home run. So when you're hitting them, you're rolling. When you're not, you're in trouble.
Penthouse or a warehouse?
Where would you prefer to be?
The former.
Yeah. We've had some great sluggers through the years in this organization. We talked about Frank Thomas, Harold Baines. How about Richie Allen?
MVP back in 1972. 351 career home runs for Dick. And I'll tell you, when he was young, using a 40-ounce bat, nobody in the National League's ball jumped off the bat any faster than Dick Allen's.
The stories are legendary, and I'm sure you have Lord knows how many. They are legendary about Dick Allen, a guy who maybe did not dedicate himself to the game the way many thought he should or felt he should, never became the player everybody thought he should. 2-2 pitch on the ground to short. Peralta will play to first and throws high, and the inning will continue. Rather lazily came in on that ball to Johnny Peralta. You could see that had trouble written over it soon as it left the bat.
You know who made that play, in my opinion? Pierzynski busting it to second base. If he doesn't bust it to second base, Peralta, his footwork his footwork prior to going to first base was to go to second base. And then he sees Pierzynski beat the throw. So his footwork's all tangled up. That's why the throw to first was high. And Josh Fields beats the throw. But you can see the footwork right there. There's that extra step. And that was caused because Pierzynski busted it to second base.
Carl Willis will come out and visit with Sowers. He thought he was out of the inning, and now has to regroup and get one more out now with the bases loaded. Matt Hergis begins to get loose in the Cleveland bullpen. We take a peek ahead of next week. Some will see the White Sox and Milwaukee as interleague play returns. Others will see the Tribe hosting the Cardinals. And Timmy, you'll be back in New York, New York.
New York, New York.
The Mets and the Yankees in the Bronx, a new Yankee Stadium. And you've not been there yet, right? Oh, no, you were there. I beg your pardon.
You
haven't been to Citi Field.
Hadn't been to Citi Field. And you and I will be in Citi Field in
the following week.
In 2 weeks,
yep.
Yes.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay at the Mets.
They are loaded for Jason Nix. 28th pitch of the inning for Sowers, and it's a good one. A strike at the knee. Nix has lined out to center on a terrific play, leaping against a wall made by Ben Francisco. And then Nix popped to Peralta in the fourth. Cleveland trying to keep it a 2-1 deficit here in the bottom of the sixth inning. And it's a ball and a strike with 2 away to Jason Nix. Of course, his brother Lance Nix has had a resurgence of his career after missing really 3 years with a devastating shoulder injury. Is putting together a solid season with Cincinnati. 1-1 to Jason Nix. Off the glove of Martinez. Here comes the runner from third. It's a 3-1 game.
Sometimes catchers are not crossed up because of a certain pitch selection. They're crossed up on a pitch location. And with Martinez there, I think he was looking for the ball down. The ball stayed up, exploded on Victor, and the White Sox score another run. So a cross-up doesn't always have to be a different pitch than you're expecting, but it could be a different location than you're expecting.
That is a pass ball charge to Victor Martinez. And there's a flare into shallow center, coming hard and able to get there is Francisco, which will end the inning. A hit, an error, 2 left. 3-1 White Sox. We're back after these messages from your local Fox station. Saturday baseball presented by Sears. Let the Sears Blue Crew help find the top appliance brand most perfect for you. White Sox 3 runs, 5 hits. Cleveland 1 run, 4 hits against Gavin Floyd. Latter third in the batting order starts with Mark DeRosa. And he's quickly behind Floyd 0-2. On the top of the 6th inning, Cleveland down a run. Had the bases loaded. And Travis Hafner flied out to the warning track in right field. With the bases loaded and 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning. A passed ball charged to Victor Martinez allowed the White Sox to increase their lead to 2. First time today, Ozzie Guillen has his bullpen busy. 1-2 on DeRosa, and a broken bat roller by the mound, fielded by Getz. 1 away. Today's trivia power question brought to you by Gillette. Name the racehorse and the major league player to win a Triple Crown in the same year. You have to go all the way back to 1937. The great War Admiral and Joe Ducky Medwick of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Only time it's ever been done. Joe Ducky Medwick 3 years earlier was taken out of a game. The 7th game of the World Series, a game won by Dizzy Dean. He beat Detroit 11-0 that day, and Ducky, Kennesaw Mountain Landis removed him from the game because they were throwing things on him in left field.
On the 100th pitch of the game, meanwhile, thrown by Floyd, he hits Ryan Garco. It's interesting to note that Medwick still remains the last National League player to win the Triple Crown. Rafael Perez continues to throw in the Cleveland bullpen. You saw Thornton, the left-hander, Dotel, the right-hander, throwing for the White Sox. Floyd has thrown an outstanding game here today. He's walked only 1, struck out 7, and allowed the 1 run on 4 hits, and there's ball 1 to Valbuena. Ben Francisco waits in the on-deck circle. That one pulled foul up the first base line.
Kind of a complicated trade that brought Valbuena to Cleveland. Franklin Gutierrez going to Seattle. Joe Smith came over for the Mets.
Flared into short right field and able to get there in time as Knicks 2 away in the inning.
And J.J. Putz went to the New York Mets, and now J.J. Putz is on the shelf and will be out for 10 or 12 weeks for the Mets. All sorts of injuries for that ball club. Injuries never an excuse. Some organizations overcome them more than others.
But if they last long enough, the mid-market size team as opposed to the big market size team tend to watch a season slip away.
Yeah, that's well put and true.
And 1 on Francisco, representing the tying run at the plate here in the 7th inning. That one lined into left field, a base hit. And on to second goes Ryan Garcos, and the Indians once again with a 2-out threat, 2 on, trailing by a pair, and Ozzie Guillen talking things over with Joey Cora down on the bench. They have Thornton, the left-hander. They have Dotel, the right-hander, both warmed up and ready to go.
And Ozzie's taking his gloves off. And here he comes.
And here comes Ozzie. The Boys and Girls Clubs is the official charity of Major League Baseball, reaching more than 4 million kids worldwide. Together, they create a positive place for kids, and what's more important than that? Artobio Dotel will replace Floyd. His 4th straight outstanding effort. Third game, a 2.4 ERA. Takes over to face Jamie Carroll with 2 on and 2 men out here in the Cleveland 7th inning. With the White Sox leading 3-1, it's strike 1 to Carroll. Talked about Floyd. It's 4 straight excellent outings. After a very slow start to this season, meanwhile, Trevor Crowe comes on to run for Ryan Garco out at second. Carroll 2 for 2 in his career against Dotel. Had a good pitch to hit right there and fouled it straight back. He's behind 0-2.
Funny, when you talk to scouts and they're scouting potential major league players, the one real reason to look at the speed of a player is so you don't have to pinch run for him later in the game and thereby lose a position player. Very, very important part of scouting speed.
0-2 on Jamie Carroll, and here it comes, and a defensive swing and foul ball into the stands.
Courageous play by this fan in the red jacket right below us. He was hit right in the chest, knocked him down, he got right back up and fielded the ball. Good going.
Yeah, good going. That's right. Thankfully he's okay, and that little one sitting next to him. Dotel pumping those fastballs, and Carroll, although tardy's hanging in there. We're in the top of the 7th inning. Each team with 5 hits, but the White Sox lead 3-1. And the Indians looking for a big hit from Jamie Carroll and give Victor Martinez a chance to bat here in the inning. Breaking ball away, 1-2 on Carroll.
Tom, you noticed those first 4 pitches Jamie Carroll was late on. And now Dotel and Brzezinski came back with 2 sliders. You throw a pitch like that that's 4 or 5 miles an hour slower, you actually speed up the bat head. I don't think a slider's a pitch here. That's the pitch. You're in a game situation. If you're a guy like Dotel, you don't speed up the bat head of any hitter. Just stick with the fastball. Make him beat you on the best pitch, and the best pitch right now is the heater.
8th pitch in this at bat. 2-2 on Jamie Carroll. Dotel to the plate. Breaking ball misses low and away. So now the runners get started. An extra base hit, and we could have a tie game. Crow the runner at second. Francisco runs well over at first, not being held on over there, of course, by Konerko. And now the 3-2 on Jamie Carroll. Out away, he's hanging in there.
See Konerko on the line. That's the proper line to protect with a right-handed hitter who is late on the fastball.
And it's looped into left field, a base hit. Coming in to score is Crow. The tying run advances on to third, and that looked like another breaking ball by Dotel to make it a 1-run game.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether it was a hanging slider or fastball, but a feisty at bat from Jamie Carroll. You can see Brzezinski setting up outside the pitch. Whenever a catcher has to cross the plate, if he's setting up outside and the pitch is inside, he crosses the plate, usually that's a bad sign for the pitcher. And it was for the White Sox at Dotel as Carroll singles to left field to drive in the second Indian run. That's a guy who was set up outside. The pitch was inside. And Carroll drives in a big run.
Dotel leaves. Matt Thornton, the hard-throwing left-hander, on to face Victor Martinez in a 1-run game. Being tested here in the 7th inning. Cleveland down a run. And now the best hitter in the Indians batting order, Victor Martinez, turns around to bat right-handed. against hard-throwing southpaw Matt Thornton, having an outstanding year. Swung on and fouled out of play. Thornton in his career against Martinez. Victor has 4 hits and 13 at-bats. That's a .308 average with a home run. And Martinez has hit nearly .360 against left-handed pitching. But this is no ordinary left-hander.
I think Ozzie Guillen trying to get the switch hitting Martinez just to get him on the right side. He hopes is the right side.
Of course, you have the left-handed batting Shin-Soo Choo standing in the on-deck circle. A 1-run game with the White Sox in front, 3-2. Runners on the corners, 2 outs in the 7th inning. That's a good pitch right there by Thornton in on Martinez, who fouls it away. And Gavin Floyd right now still in line for a win. Although if that run scores from third, he doesn't figure either way.
You can see Przinsky setting up inside, and Thornton hit the mitt.
Inning over. The high fastball from the hard-throwing Thornton keeps Floyd in line for his 4th victory. If they can nail it down, the White Sox in front by a run. Put that scoreless inning streak at 23 to rest by plating a run. Josh Fields broke a 1-1 tie with a solo home run in the 4th inning. And both starters quite effective today. Floyd allows 2 runs, 1 earned. Sowers gives up 3 runs, or I beg your pardon, 2 of the 3 earned. And now a number of changes for Cleveland. Mark DeRosa comes from right field into first base. Trevor Crowe takes over in center field, pushing Ben Francisco into right field. And now taking over on the mound is left-hander Rafael Perez. Ball 1 low and away to Chris Getz.
A man with dynamic stuff. And that was the case 2 years ago when Perez did such a great job with Cleveland. But since then, the last year and a half, I mean, to the point where the Indians had to send him down this year and just can't corral that great left arm of his.
And for the first time all day today, or at least really since around noon, the sunshine comes out and is beating down on the left side of the infield, along with the left fielder and the center fielder.
Yeah, it's a tough time if you're the Indians with 6 more outs in a 9-inning game. It's a tough time for them to play catch-up because it's the toughest time of the afternoon in which to hit.
You saw none of the outfielders or infielders brought sunglasses out there with them. And of course, there's a ground ball on the first batter of the inning, and it's safe as a call. It looked like Perez could not find the bag after taking the flip from DeRosa.
It's always a tough play when the pitcher has to try to find the ball and the bag at the same time. That's a play you don't want to use 2 hands. The reason for that is you got the glove on. Catch it in the glove and go to first. But he never had control of the ball when he stepped on the bag. And he didn't step on the bag. One of those situations, it's so awkward to run in that direction and to try to catch a ball with 2 hands. Either catch it with the bare hand or the glove hand, but not both. But as you can see, he did not step on first base.
Chu came in to get sunglasses from the Cleveland first base side dugout. As there's a bunt placed beautifully by Brian Anderson, advancing Getz into scoring position with 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Sears is sponsored by Samsung Mobile. Make yourself organized with the Samsung Jack phone. By Hyundai Assurance, a little certainty in uncertain time. And by EAS, don't waste your workout. Finish it. EAS Myoplex. So now Pasednik with a runner at second base and 1 out. The White Sox in front 3-2.
There you can see Chu. The minute you said that, Tom, Chu was out there checking that sun out. I think he ought to check his depth out right now, too, because Scott Pasednik is not the type of hitter who can drive the ball over the left fielder's head. He should be about 7 feet closer.
Drops one into right field. They're going to wave around the runner. Here comes a throw, and he is called safe. So a base hit into right by Pasednik, and again the White Sox lead is 2.
That slide to the outside part. Look at Victor Martinez and his left leg trying to ward off Chris Getz. And Chris makes a great slide, sliding behind the leg and touching home plate with his hand. Well done by Getz.
That is a first base hit for the White Sox with the runners in scoring position since Monday when Tomey hit the 3-run home run. Runner goes, throw to second, and safe again.
And again, Valbuena takes the throw in front of second base.
Second stolen base today for Pasednik.
Really not a bad throw by Martinez, particularly with the pitch he had to handle. But Valbuena, I beg your pardon. I mean that's enough on the bag. And you can see Martinez a little upset. But catchers love for middle infielders to straddle the bag and not stay in front of it. He's back a little farther than he was in the first inning.
One hopper to Peralta, and Ramirez retired for the 4th time today. 2 away in the inning.
But the key thing, I think, is Rafael Perez and that enigmatic arm of his. I mean, here's a guy who's got great stuff. And the Indians can't understand it. I can't understand it, I'll tell you that. I mean, how a guy can take that out to the mound and have teams hit him as well as they do.
Of course, that has been one of the many mysteries in baseball really since the start of baseball. As some guys come along with seemingly all the talent or talents in the world, and something just happens from the time they leave the bullpen or leave the dugout to the time they get on the field or on the mound.
Yeah, there are a lot of pitchers in baseball who would love to have the stuff that Perez has.
Rolled over foul by Thome, 0-2. Scott Linebrink throwing in the Chicago bullpen, taking a peek ahead to the Cleveland 8th inning. They'll have Chu, Peralta, and then Hafner. So it would not be a surprise to see Thornton start the 8th inning. And with any noise at all, once you get past Hafner, perhaps then you see Linebrink. And there you get a look at the stuff by Perez. That was good morning, good afternoon, and good night for Jim Thome. But a run in the 7th and a 2-run lead for Chicago. And Matt Thornton still on the mound. Delivers strike one to Shin-Soo Choo. Chu, Peralta, Hafner due up in the Cleveland 8th inning, trailing 4-2. White Sox 6 outs away from ending a 4-game losing streak. They had won 10 of 13 to get to 500. And they were knocking on the door for first in the American League Central before losing 3 straight to Oakland and then the opener here last night to Cleveland. Time for a DirecTV game break. Dodgers leading 1-0 in the 7th inning. Matt Stairs a 2-run single into right field. Ends up at third base after the throwing error by Russell Martin. And the Phillies in the 7th in front 2-1 at Dodger Stadium. Those are the 2 best teams in the National League.
Yeah, some nimble base running by Matt Stairs, a guy who as a pinch hitter has said, and this is his theory, that he wants to hit every ball as far as he can. Every time he swings the bat. I have never heard a hitter say that. and yet he does. I love Matt Stairs.
Oh, yeah.
I love his approach to the game. Drives a Zamboni during the offseason at a hockey rink. What a character.
He really had an excellent career. An outstanding career.
40 years old.
That's right. And still raking.
Yeah. Wants to hit every ball as far as he can. I love that.
God bless him.
Yes, sir.
Johnny Peralta behind 1-2 strikes. Man. I'm not sure there's a hitter on the planet, even Albert Pujols, that can hit this stuff from Thornton.
I was just thinking, if Matt Stairs wants to hit a ball as far as he can with every swing, today it seems like Matt Thornton wants to throw the ball as hard as he can because he has been buzzing that high fastball. You're right. Those pitches are unhittable.
Faced 3 straight Battersons coming on from the pen and struck out every one of them. And now it's left-handed batting Travis Hafner, 1 for 3. He had a double to right in the second inning. 97 again. He's in a rut.
Some rut.
Yeah. Good one to be in.
Yeah.
Now Thornton behind at 0-2. Of course, Thornton's so highly touted as a #1 draft pick by Seattle going all the way back to 1998. Everybody thought he'd be the next Randy Johnson. It never worked out that way. Well, swung on and fouled out of play. He had a couple of excellent seasons. A 14-7 year back in 01 in San Bernardino, California. But then when he got to the big leagues, it wasn't until 2004. And by then he was exclusively a reliever and didn't have 2 good years doing that. But since coming to the White Sox, 3 of the last 4 years he has been dominant coming from their bullpen. 0-2 pitch in the air and playable in the sunshine for Josh Fields. Inning over. 4 in a row set down by Thornton. White Sox bat last of the 8th, leading 4-2. The Major League Baseball presents the May nominees for the MLB Clutch Performer of the Month Award, presented by Pepsi. Vote for the MLB Clutch Performer of the Month today at PepsiClutch.com. Some of the candidates: Melky Cabrera of the Yankees, Roy Halladay of Toronto, Torrey Hunter of the Angels. How about Joe Mauer? Oh. Everything leaving his bat is real loud.
That's some Quinella, the M Quinella, they call him in the Twin Cities. Mauer and Morneau, M&M boys.
Bottom of the 8th inning, White Sox leading 4-2. Konerko, Pierzynski, Fields against Perez. White Sox batting for what they hope is a final time today. Big swing and a miss by Konerko. 1 ball and 1 strike. Following this series, which wraps up tomorrow, Ozzie Guillen is hoping his team can start to collect some hits and score some runs, because the Detroit Tigers come to town for a 5-game series. The Tigers are the division leaders, a game and a half better than Minnesota, 3.5 going into play today over the White Sox, 6 better than Cleveland. And the Indians, despite being 9 under 500 in all their injuries, are still hanging in there. Bobby Jenks ready to go in the White Sox bullpen, as Konerko is gone on strikes to open the 8th inning. We remind you, Fox Saturday Baseball by Sears is sponsored by Pepsi Throwback, made with natural sugar for a limited time only. By AT&T, your world delivered. And by One A Day Men's, the official multivitamin of Major League Baseball, specially formulated to support prostate health. A.J. Pierzynski down a strike.
I think that hit the right hand of Victor Martinez. He had his right arm back. Nope, hit him on the right thigh.
And Timmy, all those days you were behind the plate, would you have preferred the right thigh or the right hand?
The right thigh. Anytime. You can see Victor rubbing that right thigh. I mean, you really take a beating back there. Sometimes that equipment does little good.
One and one the count on A.J. Pierzynski. Of course, you catchers, you guys, multi-talented. All the catchers I've had a chance to spend time with in the booth. That one is in the air. Short right field. Valbuena out to get it. Now, one thing I did not know about you, Tim McCarver, until I'm listening to the Dan Patrick Show this week.
Oh, come on.
I mean, you have a new CD coming out. Not being serious about this. I heard some of this. But now listen in here for a minute. This is really good stuff. I'm not kidding you here. Do we have it down there? I think we do. This is Tim McCarver with a new single coming up. One for my baby and one more for the road.
And one more for the road. Kind of what Eric Wedge is thinking right now. One for my baby and one more for the road.
I want to get back to this thing, because I got to tell you, this is good stuff. So stay with us. You'll hear more from Tim McCarver. Wood spent his entire career, of course, until this season as a member of the Chicago Cubs. Got off to a slow start, really, of course, with a reliever. You have one bad game, it's going to take you forever to get your ERA back down. But Wood has thrown the ball very well after a little bit of a poor start in Cleveland. But you only wonder what could have been. I mean, he's had an excellent major league career. But when he first came up, he looked like he had a chance to be one of the greats.
He really
did not last long. Now let's go back to Tim McCarver. Everybody listen in as we're going to break.
Make it one for my baby and one more.
Bobby Jenks comes on to try and nail it down for the White Sox. He has a 4-2 lead. 12 of 13 in save tries so far for Bobby Jenks. Mark DeRosa to start things in the Cleveland ninth inning, and that's a strike. Jenks' last save came on the final day of May at Kansas City. His only blown save all year long came in interleague play against the Pirates. Hit off the end of the bat, and it's 0-2. What a job by Matt Thornton in front of Jenks. Faced 4 batters, struck out 3. But of course, when he came in, it was a 1-run lead with runners on the corners and 2 men out in the 7th inning, and he struck out Victor Martinez to end that threat.
I'll tell you, that mound has been full of fastballs for the last couple of innings. You got Matt Thornton, now Bobby Jenks, after Kerry Wood was in the upper 90s in recording the last out in the bottom of the 8th inning.
1-2 on DeRosa. And a high bouncer. And this is going to be fielded by Jenks, but it's an infield hit for DeRosa. And the tying run will come to the plate here in the top of the 9th inning for Cleveland.
That's a situation where Jenks is a victim of his fastball. It was down, hammered off the plate by DeRosa, and Mark has an infield hit. Once Jenks can't make that play, it's not going to be made.
Jenks, the only White Sox pitcher in franchise history to put together 3 consecutive seasons at 30 or more saves. He's been mighty good.
111 saves over the last 3 years entering this year.
On the outside corner, a strike. As Trevor Crowe bats for the first time. Crowe up and down between the big club and the AAA team in Columbus, Ohio. Without a home run, 4 runs batted in. And sometimes when you replace a player with a pinch runner, you come back and you're gnawing on your arm because you wish you had the guy you took out at the plate later in the game. And certainly no knock on Crowe.
No. But
Ryan Garko, a guy who could tie this game with 1 crack of the bat. Not to say Crowe can't. Roller down to third. That's 1. And that's another play. Time for the Just for Men hair color hold leaders. And how about last Saturday? Relief pitcher for the University of Texas, Austin Wood, went 13 innings through 169 pitches, 14 strikeouts. He no-hit DC for the first 12 1/3 innings. Texas won the game 3-2 in 25 innings, the longest game in NCAA history. You too can stay in the game with Just for Men hair color.
Austin Wood going 13 innings, and the Boston College reliever Mike Belfiore went 9 2/3. What a game that was.
1-1 on Luis Valbuena with 2 outs here in the 9th inning. Nobody on.
Excuse me, Tom. You know, that double play turned by Chris Getz, you won't see a second baseman get rid of the ball any quicker than he did.
1-2. Now the 30,307 in attendance today will stand anticipating the final strike and the final out. And Bobby Jenks takes care of both.
That ball said Valbuena was on the ground, called a strike by Doug Eddy. And the Cleveland bench is livid right now.